Before we understand facial development, let's look at the timeline of embryonic development. Everything begins with fertilization during the first week. By the second week, the embryo forms a bilaminar germ disc. During the third week, an important event called gastrulation occurs, producing the three primary germ layers. Around fourth week, the first signs of the face begin to appear. Between the 6th and 12th weeks, the palate develops rapidly through the growth and fusion of the palatal shelves. By the end of the 8th week, the embryonic period is complete and all major organs have been established. Remember this high-yield fact. The embryonic period extends from the 3rd to the 8th week, and this is the most critical period for organ development and congenital anomalies. Now let's meet the three primary germ layers, the building blocks of the human body. The first layer is the ectoderm. It gives rise to the nervous system, the epidermis of the skin, and many structures of the oral cavity. The second layer is the mesoderm. It forms muscles, bones, connective tissues, blood vessels, and much of the craniofacial skeleton. The third layer is the endoderm. This layer develops into the lining of the digestive tract, respiratory tract, and several important glands. Although all three germ layers contribute to development, the face also depends heavily on another remarkable group of cells called the neural crest cells, which we'll discuss next. The mesoderm doesn't remain as a single layer. As development continues, it divides into three regions. The paraxial mesoderm forms somites, which later develop into skeletal muscles and parts of the skull. The intermediate mesoderm gives rise mainly to the kidneys and other parts of the urogenital system. The lateral plate mesoderm forms connective tissues and blood vessels. Even though these structures may seem unrelated to dentistry, they provide the foundation upon which the craniofacial region develops. After the neural tube closes, specialized cells separate from its edges. These are called neural crest cells. They migrate throughout the developing embryo like tiny travelers, reaching the face, jaws, and oral cavity. Once they arrive, they transform into many different tissues. They form most of the bones and cartilage of the face, odontoblasts that produce dentin, Schwann cells, melanocytes, sensory ganglia, and even the adrenal medulla. That's why neural crest cells are often called the master builders of the face. Whenever you see a question about facial bones or odontoblasts, always think of neural crest cells. Now let's see how the face actually develops. At around the fourth week, 5 facial swellings appear around the primitive mouth. There is one frontonasal prominence at the top. On either side are the two maxillary prominences. Below them are the two mandibular prominences. At first, these prominences are completely separate. As the embryo grows, they gradually move toward each other and fuse together with remarkable precision. This fusion creates the forehead, nose, upper lip, cheeks, lower lip, and jaws. Think of these prominences as 5 puzzle pieces. Only when each piece joins correctly does a normal face develop. If any one of these fusion events fails, congenital facial defects can occur. Let's take a closer look at how the upper lip forms. The upper lip develops through the fusion of the maxillary processes with the medial nasal processes. The central portion of the upper lip, called the philtrum, develops specifically from the fused medial nasal processes. This is one of the most frequently asked facts in embryology. If this fusion occurs normally, the upper lip develops without any defects. However, if the maxillary process fails to fuse with the medial nasal process, a cleft lip develops. So remember this important association. Philtrum gives medial nail processes. Failure of fusion gives cleft lip. Now let's move to the lower part of the face. The lower lip and the mandible develop from the paired mandibular processes, which are derived from the first pharyngeal arch. As the embryo grows, these two mandibular processes move toward the midline and fuse together. Unlike the upper lip, this fusion is usually complete, so developmental defects of the lower lip are relatively uncommon. A simple way to remember this is, mandibular processes fuse to form the lower lip and lower jaw. Next comes the premaxilla, an important structure in dentistry. Let's understand how it forms. The frontonasal prominence gives rise to the medial nasal processes. These two medial nasal processes then fuse together to form a structure called the intermaxillary segment. Finally, this intermaxillary segment develops into the premaxilla. The premaxilla is especially important because it carries the 4 upper incisor teeth. So whenever you're asked about the origin of the premaxilla or the maxillary incisors, remember this sequence. Medial nasal processes gives intermaxillary segment gives premaxilla. This is one of the highest yield questions in embryology.